About 10 years ago, the Library of America released 9 classic science fiction novels in this cool little set right here from the 1950s. And I thought it was pretty cool. They did 9 books, which had some good lists. But I made a list of 7 books, which are really must-reads for the 1950s sort of science fiction literature. We're all about trying to bring back this classic culture. If you don't know about science fiction in the Silver Age, the Golden Age, it really was different than it was today. We really have a situation where everything they put out now is not about exploring strange new worlds, it's about exploring strange new genders. And that is not resonating with audiences. It really doesn't pose an interesting future. It's all about like validating people's mental illnesses and fetishes. And it didn't used to be like that. Things used to have real poignant text to them, which I really enjoyed and really loved. And that's what we're covering here on the channel. This is the real science fiction and fantasy news. I'm glad you guys are here to find this. And let's talk about these 7 books I think you should read today. You can tell me what you think. And if there's others that should be on this list in the description below, or in the comments rather. And please hit the like and subscribe button. I think I might have said that already. I don't know. But I'm a professional science fiction writer myself, and I want to show off something to you. This is a painted cover that's done by a wonderful artist for my next science fiction trilogy I'm building. I'm going back to full space exploration. These are some of my characters. This is Captain Christopher Conley of the EAS Valiant, along with his first officer, the Aritian woman, Salah. And there's the Aritian security officer, Verilyn, right there as well on the cover. This is the ship up in the atmosphere. So I love this. This evokes like the style of classic DAW books from the 1970s, and that's what we're trying to go back to. We're trying to just push things back and make science fiction fun again, make it about exploration again. This is not out yet, but I do have a mailing list I'd love for you to sign up for because I'm going to be probably crowdfunding a full trilogy. I'm in the middle of writing book 3 right now, and I've got a lot of books, so you can check out my bookstore in the description below, and I'd love for you to check things out. Get on the newsletter, though, because YouTube, you never know if you're going to find me again with these algorithms. They don't just show people their subscriptions anymore. It's really sad, but it is kind of how it is. And we are all about science fiction here, and I want to stay in touch with you. So sign up right here. Get 3 free books for your time, and don't miss this. This is going to be epic, and I'm so thrilled with what we've done here, my friends. Thank you for being here. This is the place for classic science fiction, and do sign up. Don't miss it today. Appreciate you being here. So what are the most important science fiction novels of the 1950s? It's open for debate. What we've come up with is what I think is the definitive list. And so, like I said, I was talking about this article on the American Library of America's 9 classic science fiction novels, which this guy was writing what he would have put in there. And here's kind of what I would have put in there. This is the Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. I think this is just the #1 staple. These are not in a particular order, but I mean, you really should be reading the Martian Chronicles. It is interconnected short stories. They tell a life about colonists in the future. And what's cool about it is you can really read them in any order, and you could still get like this beautiful, poignant, like just idea of the future. It's so well done. I mean, this is really beautiful stuff about building a colony, changing things, and I think it's definitely worth the read all the way around by Ray Bradbury. Second one, this is going to be one that isn't going to make a lot of like modern lists, and this is E. Doc Smith's Gray Lensman. The Lensman Saga really was the first space opera, and I love space opera. I've written space opera for The Stars Entwined. If you've not read that before, that's my book that has a trilogy of space opera that really did a lot of honor to this. And this had such a cool sweeping effect on science fiction that, again, doesn't get talked about much today because space opera is just viewed as like not the real literary stuff. But I think it is an important part of science fiction history. So in this one here, they're an elite telepathically enhanced group. They fight against cosmic evil forces. And it definitely does a ton with space opera here with just these big sweeping adventures that are really a lot of amazing fun. Another one people might not note and might not put in here is Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Now, a lot of people just don't view this as a science fiction novel. They view it as like this libertarian philosophy, but it really has a science fiction premise. This guy develops this metallic substance that's stronger than steel. It's better than steel, and and he's trying to get it produced amidst all these production problems of a falling apart society that's caused by a communist dystopia, basically. And so they start this whole new society together as this utopian libertarian society, and it is a science fiction level because of that. Now, a lot of this really proved true about American society as like socialism has taken over a lot of elements, but we're trying to push that back. It does have a lot of rants. There's like an 80-page rant about her philosophy in it, and that does bog down the book as a book itself. But the concepts in here are very neat, and I think that it does stand the test of time for science fiction stuff on that level. I put in Alfred Bester's Demolished Man, and I wanted to put in Bester in here because of his importance to science fiction. They put in their original book, The Star Is My Destination, which I think is a stronger book. But the thing is, since I already put in The Lensman as space opera, I wanted to have something different. I didn't actually particularly like this book when I read it. I think the prose was a little too dry and stilted for me. But the concepts in here were really interesting, with telepathy being used as a weapon, just the whole psychological thriller aspect of things. That was not something that was really done much before Bester, and so it's a very important novel on that level when it is looked at in science fiction, so definitely worth checking out on that. The Long Tomorrow by Leah Brackett. This is one that is definitely hailed. Leah Brackett's getting a lot more positive attention than she used to get. She wasn't talked about so much back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I'd say over the last couple of decades that's changed. Obviously, there's been a push towards fantasy and science fiction to be like, we want to respect female authors more. But with Leah Brackett, she really had the talent. She really did things that were different than everybody else, and that's why she was so good and so well revered. Now, I love her later stuff with Eric John Stark, which comes out after the 1950s, but this book, The Long Tomorrow, has a lot of good stuff to it. It's post-apocalyptic stuff. There's rules that technology can't be used anymore because of its consequences that it had on society. Is really poignant, I think, with the development of AI and the like, how it goes here, and that sort of tension of the new modern people being like, why are we having these rules? Let's rebel against this, and the people who have seen its consequences make for a good science fiction classic. Excellent stuff. Now, another one, in our circles, Arthur C. Clarke is not really looked upon fondly for a lot of reasons, but Childhood's Ends really did have a big impact on science fiction as well. This had an alien species come to take humanity. They're going to usher in a new utopia. It's very scary, these aliens that show up, when you first read this as a new science fiction reader, being like, oof. Yeah, is humanity going to survive this? And there's this interesting evolution of humanity into new beings that are beyond human, which becomes a science fiction sort of trope that's used a lot, and that makes things pretty interesting. We are children as humanity, and we're going to grow up into these new beings, and that's the premise of this sort of thing right here. So really well done, really worth reading on that level, and that it is something that we should pay attention to. Now, a Heinlein book, of course, had to make this. Heinlein, I think, had his best work done in the 1950s. I think he kind of went off the rails later in life. It's another topic maybe for a video of another time. Starship Troopers is really the one that is the most important, though, because it built the military science fiction genre. It built the concept of Space Marines out. He was not the first to do it, but he really did master it right here. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. Now, if you've only seen the movie, that was only a small sliver of this book. There's so much to it that is a lot of fun. And so it's his experience of his soldier, and it has a lot. It talks about military, talks about exploration, individualism versus collectivism, another theme of that, like we see in Ayn Rand, and, of course, just a beautiful, beautiful world that only Heinlein could have done. Now, my favorite Heinlein book is actually in the original deal here. It's Double Star, but I just don't think Double Star is as important to science fiction as Starship Troopers is, and that's why I put that on there on the list. Now, there's some other good books on here. I'd say Fritz Lieber's The Big Time is another wonderful book, and I've read that before, and there's some cool things that are worth reading through here. But this is my definitive list, and I hope you'll enjoy it today. Thank you guys for reading. I appreciate you for being here. And, let me know what you think about this list. What would you add to a definitive list for Science Fiction 50 books? Love to hear from you. And please, get on my newsletter, guys. Don't miss our classic return to space exploration here. I've outdone myself here, and I'm so proud of the first two books we've written. And like I said, I'm in the third one right now, and once I get that whole trilogy finished, we're going to be working on a crowdfund for you. And thanks for being here. Sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss it. And, of course, I've got my bookstore in the description below if you want to check out some stuff now and support our channel. Really appreciate you for joining our science fiction community. This is where the revolution in science fiction's at. We're going to be bringing things back and just changing the culture, my friends. And that's, I hope, what you're here for. So check it out. I appreciate you being here, and we'll be back soon.